Hello students, welcome to my channel Maths with Sir Satish. I am Satish and I have been teaching mathematics for more than 25 years. This is my first recording for my channel. Today we begin with one of the most interesting topics in class 10, that is Introduction to Trigonometry. So when you get into the subject of trigonometry, particularly to know the meaning of trigonometry, so basically, trigonometry is being split into three specific words. That is tri. Tri means it is three. So it is specifying you the three sides or three angles of the triangle. Basically, I'm going to measurement of the angles of triangle. It is gno means it's angle. That is three angles of a triangle. Metry means it is measurement of the angles of rectangle triangle. So trigonometry is completely the learning of right angle triangle it is. So triangles, as you know, you've got acute angle triangle, right angle triangle, obtuse angle triangle, scalene triangle. So here, based on angle, you're going to study about right angle triangle in detail. Then we'll look into the trigonometry part, what it is going to teach us. So first of all, initially you have to know about right angle triangle in detail. So I've drawn a right angle triangle here. That is, triangle has got three vertices. That is A, B, and C. So I've taken a triangle ABC, in which I marked here angle B equals 90 degrees. So when I mark angle B as 90 degrees, then in a right angle triangle, opposite side of a 90 degree is always going to be considered as the biggest side. So here, since I've marked angle B as 90 degrees, AC is going to be the biggest side here. That biggest side is always called as hypotenuse. So when you look into Pythagoras theorem, specifically when you write about the Pythagoras formula, so you will have to mention which angle is 90 degrees. Based on that 90 degrees, you are going to have the hypotenuse. So in triangle ABC, angle B equals 90 degrees. So according to Pythagoras theorem, what it says is square on the hypotenuse is equal to sum of the squares on the other two sides. So square on the hypotenuse is equal to sum of the squares on the other two sides. So in a right angle triangle, there are three sides. One is going to be the hypotenuse. The remaining two are the other two sides, which is going to be AB and BC. So it says square on the hypotenuse. That means it is AC square is equal to sum of the squares on the other two sides. Other two sides are AB and BC, or BC and AB. It is going to be sum of those squares of the two sides. So that is AC square is equal to AB square plus BC square. It is going to be. So this is an important part. Now, for example, if I have a triangle here as a triangle P, Q, and R. So if I take angle P as equal to 90 degrees, that means in triangle PQR, angle P is equal to 90 degrees. So if angle P is 90 degrees, then Pythagoras theorem says opposite of 90 degrees is hypotenuse. So square on the hypotenuse means it is going to be QR square. Since I've taken P as 90 degrees, so opposite side of P is going to be QR. So QR square is equal to sum of the squares on the other two sides. Other two sides are PQ and PR. So that means it is PQ square plus PR square. PQ square plus PR square it is. So always when you look into right angle triangle, always first the hypotenuse, then the sum of the squares on the other two sides it is going to be. So now once I have marked the triangle as 90-degree triangle and one of the angle is marked 90 degrees, always the 90-degree opposite side is going to be called as hypotenuse. Now according to the theory, what you know is that sum of three angles of triangle is always going to be equal to 90 degrees. 180 degrees. So that means if I take up triangle ABC, angle A plus angle B plus angle C, sum of the three angles is going to be equal to 180 degrees. Now, since according to my marking in that triangle ABC, I have said angle B is equal to 90 degrees. So angle A plus angle B is taken as 90 degrees plus angle C equals 180 degrees. Now I keep this angle A plus angle C as it is equal to 180 degrees. When I shift it off the equal sign, sign changes to minus 180 minus 90. So 180 minus 90, you know that it is equal to 90 degrees. Now what it means? Now in a triangle, in a right angle triangle, angle B is 90 degrees. Now remaining sum of these two angles is going to be equal to 90 degrees. That means each of these angles cannot be more than 90 degrees, but sum of these two is equal to 90 degrees. So each of the angle cannot be equal to 90 degrees. It has to be less than 90 degrees. Whenever an angle is spoken about less than 90 degrees, that means angle A and angle C are both going to be called as acute angles. It's a very important part in trigonometry to know which is going to be the acute angle. Based on that, the further ratios of the trigonometric ratio is going to be written. Now, since I've said angle B is 90 degrees, angle A and angle C are going to be acute angles because each of these angles are going to be less than 90 degrees. Now here in triangle PQR, when I consider angle P is 90 degrees, so the rest two angles, angle Q and angle R, are going to be called as acute angles. Now I'll come back to this again in triangle ABC. Now measurement of these angles, as I said, angle A plus angle C is 90 degrees. That means each of these are going to be acute angle. Now for my measurement of the angles, I'll consider this angle C. This measurement of this angle can be anything, 30 degrees or 40 degrees or 60 degrees. It should be less than 90 degrees. So this unknown angle, I'll mark it as theta. Marked as theta, or you can call it as any, you can put in your name also, or you can say alpha, beta, gamma, or you can say any of the name can be given to this particular measurement of this angle or this angle, angle A. Now, and I mark this angle B as 90 degrees. Opposite of that 90 degrees is called as hypotenuse. The remaining two sides are going to be AB and BC. Now in one of the angles I marked it as theta. As soon as you mark this angle as theta, then the opposite side for this angle C is going to be AB. Then we call this as opposite side. Call it as opposite side. Now remaining one more side is left out, that is BC, that is going to be called as adjacent side. So that means you have specifically named all the three sides of a right angle triangle. Angle B is 90 degrees, so opposite of angle B, the side is going to be AC, that is called as hypotenuse. Then I marked the angle C as theta. Theta means it is understood that it is always going to be less than 90 degrees. So the side opposite to that theta is going to be called as opposite side, and the remaining third side is going to be called as adjacent side. Now for example, when I look into this particular triangle PQR, I marked angle P as equal to 90 degrees. Now for my reference, I'll mark this angle as something called as alpha. There I took it as theta, now here it is, I'll mark it as alpha. It doesn't make any difference. Now the sides, 90 degrees when it is being marked, opposite of that is called as, opposite side is going to be called as hypotenuse, HYP. Now since I marked R as alpha for my reference, so that means here the opposite side for R is going to be PQ, that is going to be called as opposite side, and the remaining one more side, the third side, is going to be called as adjacent side. So three sides, and you have to learn trigonometry. So trigonometry is all basically about right angle triangle. When you learn about the right angle triangle, you have to know Pythagoras theorem. So according to that, here the square on the hypotenuse is equal to sum of the squares on the other two sides. Simplest of it, triangle has got only three sides. Once you mark hypotenuse, which is opposite of 90 degrees, square on that is equal to sum of the squares on the other two sides. Trigonometry, basically it is going to be measurement of angles. So sum of three angles of triangle is 180 degrees. So angle B is 90. So that means here angle A plus angle C is going to be equal to 90 degrees. That means each of these angle is going to be less than 90 degrees. So that means it is going to be called as an acute angle. Either angle A or angle C is going to be called as acute angle. So for my reference, I took angle C as theta. You can take any of the names. You can write your name or you write it as alpha, beta or gamma or whatever it is. You're just marking a measurement or writing a particular angle. Now, since angle theta is taken, the opposite of that is going to be called opposite side. It is going to be, and the third side which is left out is going to be adjacent side. So three sides specifically named in a right angle triangle. One is hypotenuse, the biggest side of a right angle triangle. Opposite of angle which is marked as theta is called as opposite side, and the remaining is going to be called as adjacent side. In my next video, we'll look into the trigonometric ratios and we'll make it more and more interesting. We'll look into the complete chapter, look into it, subscribe my channel, and hopefully we'll make it interesting. Thank you.